Don't you worry, the clip's about to begin, but don't forget to subscribe. Or else, don't make me turn this website around.
Austin in Oregon, I apologize. You're coming in with a lot of heat from someone else. How
I'm still
how
loving
can we help you today?
I'm ready, Austin. I love you.
I heard that call, and man, that was some suffering happening there. Yeah. So this might not be a last 15-minute conversation, and I could call in next week, or I can give you kind of the general idea, and you can hang up on me and move on to the next call. But in any case, my daughter is 14 years old. She is kind of questioning her sexuality right now, and is kind of displaying some behaviors that might indicate that she doesn't fully identify with the gender she was assigned at birth. And my wife and I are just trying to, piece all together the research and figure out where to proceed from here. And there's been a thought that's been kind of weighing on my mind. And it's, if she likes things that are traditionally associated with boys and feels that she's more traditionally masculine than a lot of her peers are, I don't really understand how or why she wouldn't identify with her birth gender if none of those things are inextricably linked to her sex. You can wear dresses, you can wear pants, you can do any number of things that are associated with any number of genders, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you are that thing. So,
I think Austin, this one's actually really easy. This one's actually really easy to address. So when we're talking about gender and gender expression, you have to understand that gender is a way of communicating your internal experience to other people. So, for example, in January, I had what's called facial feminization surgery. I didn't have a doctor peel back my face and shave my bones down because I thought all women have to have bones that look a certain way. Absolutely not. I did that because it's a lot easier for me when I'm conveying my gender for people if I can communicate certain signals about my gender to them through little things that we have all associated with gender. So I agree. The women can have big brow bones, prominent brow bones. Women can have broad shoulders. Women can never wear dresses, and they are still absolutely 100% women without a doubt. When trans people are communicating their gender to you through maybe stereotypical things, it's often because having a degree of passing privilege and communicating on the levels that people already speak makes our lives significantly easier and often makes our lives safer.
So what I would I just wanted to come in with, I guess, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Katy.
Okay.
Then I'll expand on it.
So yeah, I just want to come in quite sternly, I guess, on just a couple of the points here. You said that your daughter was questioning her sexuality and also traditionally masculine things and stuff. I just want to be very ultra clear for everyone watching. You that doesn't at all mean that someone is definitely trans. If you want to be a masculine girl or a masculine, I just want to very explicitly say this because I know that it's quite common that people will say, trans people will see particularly we mentioned a few times in the show now, oh, this young lesbian is getting trans by the evil trans people. This isn't. I think it's quite important to just say this. Maybe she's questioning her sexuality and maybe she's just into women and that's cool. Maybe she just likes masculine things and that's cool. And she is still a cis woman and that is totally fine. And that's actually probably the majority of cases. Most people who are born assigned female and who fancy women end up being cis lesbians. Most people who are born assigned female and who like masculine things end up being cis women. That's just a fact. So I think that it's just quite important to communicate that. And on a practical side, if your kid is saying, I'm confused about my sexuality, I'm confused because I like boy things, then you say, well, the first thing you'd say is, well, that's totally cool. It's okay to be a girl and be attracted to other girls. It's okay to be a woman and be attracted to other women. It's okay to be a girl and like whatever masculine things are. Like, that's totally cool. And here are some great role models who do exactly that. You know, there are loads of amazing trans and cis lesbians that she can look to, if that's the case. However, you know, a child also might then say, well, actually, it's more than that. That this isn't all of it. It's not that I'm just attracted to men or women, and I'm not just like girl or boy things. I feel like this is something I'm trying to communicate inside. I actually am a boy. I actually am a girl. You know, I'm suffering in more ways than just how I'm presenting myself and who I'm attracted to. This is like who I am inside, and potentially like physical parts of their body are causing them great distress. And if that's the case, and it's not just a passing thought, then that's the time to maybe see some experts and just see what they say, because they might be able to help diagnose. Either way, still might be a cis person, might be a trans person. That's, you know, what the experts are there to do. Lots of people they see won't be trans people. They don't just put you on some pathway and go off. I just wanted to say all that because I feel like this is one of the first times this kind of thing has come up in this show. And I know it's a very strong, like, garbage criticism of what trans people are saying. And I'm not at all saying you're saying that, or anyone watching that is saying that, but I just think it's quite important to say. So then I would just also, just before I hand it back to you, Austin, I do agree with Arden that once you acknowledge that, like, your sexuality, your gender presentation, your, like, you know, all of these things are kind of separate. And then there's this like gender identity, and that is the important part for whether someone's trans or not. And, you know, all the rest, it can be anything. I mean, there are some correlations, but when someone has a gender identity which results in them being a trans person rather than a cis person, they might want to feel like communicating that. And there are a whole number of ways of communicating that. For example, saying, I am a woman. Like, that's a way of communicating it. But there are other ways, which is like playing with the language of gender expression, which, like, just because you wear a dress, that doesn't make you a woman. That's a completely garbage position for anyone to claim. And it's a straw man of what people say trans people are doing. However, it is true that you can communicate in some manner ways, like your gender identity through presentation, because of stereotypes and, you know, correlations and stuff, and that sometimes does go on. So I'm just agreeing with Arden's point there. So sorry, I've done a bit of like a detour rant there, and I like really focused on this kind of you can still be a cis person, but I just wanted to make that clear. So sorry, go ahead, Austin.
I appreciate everything you're saying. That the main concern that my wife and I had is that there's a lot of she is red as a beet right now. The main thing that we were having concerns about is that with her going through puberty, she's really had what she's described as like out of body experiences, or I think dysphoric, I think is the proper term for it. But
yeah,
like she wanted to start wrapping her chest and wear baggier clothing and stuff more in the okay she just stepped out of the room, but anyway, the main thing is that there are these things that she's been doing that kind of make us wonder about this sort of thing. And I appreciate all the caveats that you guys give. It's a contentious topic. I understand why you do it, but yeah. I think we understood pretty clearly what you guys were getting at. The only last thing that I would leave off with is I personally wondered if the fight for, you know, trans rights and trans healthcare and just being able to exist as a trans person in society versus the fight of just removing the need for that, like, outward expression. Like, we're just people. Like, men and women doesn't really, like, if we could get to a point where the idea of men and women doesn't really exist societally anymore, I don't really see what the problem with that would be.
I see what you're saying. I guess I would, to address that point, like, quite quickly, I guess it just goes back to what Arden said. Like, I didn't, or, you know, trans women aren't out there going and spending tens of thousands of dollars on getting their genitals changed because of the concept of men and women. Like, there's more to gender dysphoria than just presentation and stuff. In a world where we destroyed sexism, we got rid of all gender stereotypes, like men and women were entirely equal. Maybe we had total reproductive freedom because we reproduce using robots and vats and stuff. Even in that case, trans people would still exist because there would be a difference. There's like a bimodal distribution of body differences, and that is part of gender dysphoria. And, you know, like in a world free of sexism and stereotypes and all this kind of garbage, maybe like on average trans women wouldn't be so into makeup. Maybe I wouldn't have like long hair or whatever. I probably would because I quite like long hair. But, you know, there are things that maybe won't be the same. However, I still would have transitioned physically and with, you know, hormones and stuff, because there are actual physical and mental changes that come with transition, which are, you know, that there are, it's more than just presentation is what I'm trying to say. So I understand your, why don't we just abolish gender? And I'm on that. Like, if we can get rid of all the stereotypes, like, I'm totally down. As a feminist, let's destroy the patriarchy. Let's get rid of all the stereotype garbage. But that isn't going to stop trans people. That isn't going to stop the need for trans healthcare. So just to go back to your child, I would say if it's got to the point where, you know, there's things like they're just sort of describing dysphoria and it's quite persistent and they're wanting to do things like binding and all this other stuff, then, you know, maybe you are at the stage where it's worth talking to some experts. Maybe it's worth finding a therapist, or, you know, just looking at the various options, because, you know, an expert will be able to help you a lot more than two non-experts on a call-in show. And I think that would be my main advice, because it can be very easy to say, well, this is part of puberty, this is just part of growing up, and then just put off this thing. And maybe it is, and an expert would be able to diagnose that. Or maybe it isn't, and you don't want to put off healthcare that could make someone's life better. I understand that it's scary, but, like, it's worth talking to people. You know.
Yeah, she's already in therapy for unrelated issues, and she's been talking to her doctor about this particular issue as well, and she's been referred to somebody that's more experienced with this kind of thing.
Okay,
so
good.
we're figuring it out. It's just one of those things that I've been kind of mulling around in my head, and the more that I can learn about it and the more opinions I can get on it, the better. So I'll let you guys move on to your last call here. And I really appreciate everything you do, and I'll be continuing to watch and learn, and hopefully at some point down the road, I'll feel a little bit more confident with this kind of thing.
That's cool. Yeah, awesome. Feel free to call in again. We'd love to hear from you, or you know, your child can call in too if they want. So
yeah, I think your kid's in good hands, Austin. But thanks for calling in, and we appreciate your call, and we'll talk to you soon. All right.
Bye.
Awesome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for checking out this clip for The Line. While you're here, hit that like button, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and then share this with that bitter uncle of yours who loves talking about the good old days.